Welcome to the Slow Way podcast, a space where we explore slowing down, finding presence, and living intentionally. I'm Shruti, a holistic life coach and a yoga instructor, and my purpose is to help you clear out blocks that are keeping you from showing up as your best possible self. Together, we will learn to hold space for each other as we navigate through life and explore the depths of what it means to be human. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Slow Way, a space to soften, to breathe, and to return to what truly matters. I'm so glad you're here today, and today I would like to explore something very deep yet tender and sometimes confronting, and that is loving without attachment. So let's begin with a breath. Let's inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Let yourself land here fully, and let's get into it. When most of us say love, the word love, we think of connection, we think of safety, closeness. But growing up, what we've learned to call love is actually not love, it is attachment. It's fear, it's control, and it is clinging masked as care. And I want to be very honest, I've been there, done that, been in relationships where love meant walking on eggshells, and where affections only came with conditions, and where presence felt heavy because it came with so much pressure around it. And I'm sure many of you can relate to this too. And the problem with that kind of love that is wrapped in fear, it feels so suffocating. There is nothing expansive about it. It actually feels like contraction, and it keeps you small. It makes you question your worth, and it can very quickly start to look like self-abandonment. And so let's get clear on what love is not. Let's just negate things that does not really qualify as love. Love is definitely not control. So I wrote this in my journal today morning that love is not manipulation masked as concern. It's not emotionally withdrawing oneself in order to quote unquote punish this other person for not showing up the way we wanted them to show up in our life. That is clearly not love. It's not needing someone to be small so that you can feel superior. And when all of these things exist in a relationship, it is a power play. And love really doesn't need to win. Love doesn't want to compete. And it certainly never, ever punishes you for your humanness, because we all make mistakes, and we all have our days when we are not showing up as our best possible self. Many a times, relationships just seem like some sort of psychological warfare, which is disguised as care. And that version of love just wears this mask, wears this costume of care and devotion, but it stems from deep-rooted fear. And if you go further down, that comes from ego, where there are unhealed wounds trying to find their fix through someone else's behavior. And I would like you to kind of sit with that thought, and let these words really land, because it's potent. It's potent to reflect on these words and ask yourself some really deep, honest questions that have I ever been in that position? Have I ever tried to seek control and name it as care? And the truth is, many of us were just taught this. We just saw this growing up. We very casually absorbed it from media, from our families, from cultural context. And so we just learned growing up that love means holding so tight that you start suffocating this other person instead of just being supportive and just being there. And a healthy form of love just holds everything very lightly. An analogy that comes to mind is that love feels like an open palm and not a closed fist. So you're not really clenching. And true love feels like connection, it's not control. It's this very sacred space that two people come together and create, where healing feels possible. Love is not going to heal for you, but certainly two people, when they come together, they can create this sanctuary where healing feels possible, where the most anxious parts of you can soften and just exhale. So, then why do we attach ourselves? And the answer to that is the attachment comes from a place of fear because we're afraid. We're afraid to lose. We're afraid to be alone. We're afraid we won't be okay without the other. And attachment is the child in us who didn't get what they needed growing up. It's a part of us that was taught love is earned, not given. We need to please, we need to perform, we need to prove our worth in order to actually deserve to be loved. And in adulthood, these wounds they play out in a very subtle way, sometimes not so subtle, and we start to cling. We start to either overfunction or overperform, or we just collapse all our boundaries just in the name of being chosen. So we start to confuse attachment for intimacy, and it's really not love, it's just codependence. And the hard truth is that the love that costs you yourself is not love. It's just survival. It's just fear wrapped in this pretty, laced as devotion and laced as love. And loving without attachment doesn't mean that you don't care. It just simply means that you hold everything lightly. You're not trying to cling, you're not trying to grip onto anything. You can love someone deeply without losing your center. You can honor the other without abandoning yourself. And you just allow the full and complete humanness of this other person to surface. And that means embracing their confusion, their boundaries, and sometimes even their leaving. So there is this beautiful space that you can create within yourself where letting go, becomes beautiful. When every part of you wants to cling on and you choose to surrender, you choose to let go and let everything just be. In that space, you're able to listen without this need to fix it. Then from that space, you're able to even give without any expectation. So, just by staying open and staying curious and just being present with this other person without trying to possess them. And I think that is conscious love. And that is a kind of love that we all have the capacity to create for one another. And personally, for me, learning to love this way has been quite a journey, and a great one at that. It hasn't been perfect. There have been moments I've clung, moments I wanted someone else to save me from my own insecurities or my own uncertainties. But in those moments, every time I returned to my breath, the more I practiced sitting with my own discomfort. the more I came home to myself, the less I needed someone else to fill in my voids or my empty spaces. And what I found is this: when I am able to love myself without attachment to who I think I should be, the more available I become to love others in the same way. So, loving without attachment by no means is it cold. It is not disconnected. It's not about building walls. And when I say boundaries, it doesn't come from a space of negativity or revenge. It simply means that you have stopped abandoning yourself in order to please somebody else, or wanting to be chosen by somebody else, or being loved by somebody else. And that just allows you to love freely without needing to cage or capture what is either meant to move on or what is meant to last. So, when you love from that space, you're simply walking alongside someone, not carrying them or expecting to be carried. And all of this starts with you, with the ways you show up for your own heart. And I know this sounds oversimplified, but it's just the truth, because the way you soften towards fear, the way you hold yourself when nobody else is watching, is what is going to set the tone for every other relationship you have. So, the relationship you have with yourself is what needs to be looked into in order to show up fully and freely for anybody else. Thank you so much for being here with me. And if this episode has stirred something in you, I would love for you to share it with someone you trust, or even just choose to sit with it quietly. I invite you to journal and just let all these thoughts and emotions surface, and hold it gently, and just be there for yourself and allow it to just move through you. It's like this dance. I love it. Until next time, be gentle, go slow, and just love freely without trying to grip. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.